My name is Shuli Hallak. I've been a professional photographer for 10 years, photographing critical infrastructure. So sort of all the networks that we depend on but don't see. And about 3 or 4 years ago, I started to wonder what the internet is. I was reading about how, data centers and how they consume power, and that we have basically like all these mini cities in the US that are storing our data and our digital lives. So that was an interesting concept for me, and I wanted to see it and understand it. It wasn't just data centers. So started making connections in New York, where I'm based, in New York City, and went basically from the core out. So carrier hotels, interconnection facilities, terrestrial fiber, and then subsea cables. Went on a cable ship and photographed how they deploy cables under the ocean, and then big core networks like Facebook. They had areas that they call cold storage. So I guess it's part of people's timelines that aren't used as frequently. So they literally go into another part of the data center that is cold storage. So uses, I guess, less energy or whatever, that it's not being pulled up as frequently. So all these parallels that actually do parallel what's happening. It was pretty cool. They designed the data center exactly for that, so for maximum efficiencies. It's sort of like, race cars, like NASCAR, when they kind of go into a pit, they just change the tires or whatever in like a minute, and then the car's back out. So that's sort of the concept that they had in mind when they designed it. So the fronts of the racks were just all open, and when they need to change out a hard drive, the technician goes out with his little Facebook cart, sees which area of the server needs to be changed, and like pulls out this drawer, and all the hard drives are there, and just scans it, takes it out, puts in a new one, and closes it. It's basically like NASCAR for data centers. So for subsea cables, I actually did fly down to meet the ship. So that was in the Caribbean. Seeing the big cable tanks, and this ship that I was on wasn't a particularly big ship, but they still had 3 tanks. So they're just these massive tanks that are like 2 stories high in the ship itself, that are capable of holding, I don't know how many miles of fiber optic cable. Funny story, on the subsea cable ship, we actually played basketball on the cables in the tank. I guess they're very protected, so. The visual glossary, I think, is a great place to just kind of go, and you see a term, you can look at the picture and click on it and sort of understand, what fiber is, or dark fiber, or so many terms that are being used more commonly, and maybe we just assume we know what it is, but it would be great to have a visual. So I think working with the ISAC community could be very mutually beneficial in lots of ways. I would love to learn more about the extensive knowledge that the members have in their respective fields, and I'd love to be able to provide visual information to help communicate what it is that they're doing.